Hey, welcome back to the Big Hunt Guys podcast. This is Trail. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to jump in on this podcast, but we had Dave Brinker in the office, and he sat down with Neville and Brady, and those guys sit down and discuss a bunch of different topics. It's a great episode, so make sure that you stay with us and listen to that full episode. Before we get going, I wanted to make you aware of a special promotion that we have running right now for Black Friday. And if you want to sign up for the GOHUNT Insider Research Platform and use the promo code PODCAST, we're going to give you 100 points back in the gear shop here at GOHUNT. That's $100 that you can use towards the purchase of any gear that we have in the shop. Dates for that are going to be November 25th through the 27th. So sign up right now. It's research season. I mean, most of the hunts are already over and past, so it's time to dive in, do your research for the upcoming 2023 season. It's a great time to purchase that Insider platform and get yourself 100 points, $100 back to the GOHUNT Gear Shop. We also have another promo that I want to make you aware of in conjunction with Outdoor Class. If you use the promo code PODCAST30 when you sign up for an Outdoor Class membership, we're going to give you 30% off that membership. And the dates for that are going to be the 24th to the 28th. Outdoor Class, if you're not aware, it's a learning platform for people that are, either, you've been hunting for your lifetime or you're looking to get involved in hunting. You get to learn from some of the best in the industry, including Remy Warren about mule deer. We've got courses from Corey Jacobson on elk hunting. If you want to know how to take care of your game in the field and then prep that at home, we have great classes from professionals like Hank Shaw or Jamie Teagan. So that's a killer platform. Like I said, if you've been hunting your whole life or if you're just looking to get involved in hunting, that's a serious promotion. Use that promo code PODCAST30 and get yourself 30% off that Outdoor Class membership. So with that, got the promos out of the way. Like I said, stay with us. It's a great episode with Dave Brinker, Brady, and Neville.
Now we're live.
I was going to clap as well, but
I haven't seen your guys' pretty faces since Colorado.
I know. I missed you, buddy.
Hey, that was 2 or 3 days. I don't know how long. Where was it? 5 days?
Yeah, supposedly.
That was freaking awesome. Can we cuss on this?
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Did you hear one of our recap podcasts that we did?
I didn't listen to. I rarely listen to myself.
I never listen to myself either. So I haven't
it's
even
the
listened
worst.
to them. But I want to point out, we said you are an absolute beast. You rolled in, hadn't been there before, thought you were getting the shittiest blind ever because you're the last person.
You guys purposely gave me the shittiest blind.
And then you shot.
Not true. Nobody knew what blinds were.
Yeah, you had no clue. And then you just roll in, drive all night, and get there, hunt for like 2 or 3 days, shoot an awesome antelope, and then bounce out.
Yeah.
We were just
Absolute beast mode.
We were like, why can't we have a hunt like that?
I made the decision when I got there because you guys, the way it was set up, it's pretty rare actually because I help a lot of other people. I hunt with my dad, I hunt with my brother. It's actually pretty rare that I get to hunt by myself and actually go as hard as I want to go, But that was the perfect hunt. Antelope is so fun because if you're in a good area, there's so many of them that you can kind of fail until you succeed.
Yep.
So when that first morning, I'm like, screw it. I got my own car. I got food, water. The guys are in blinds. I'm not going to bother them. I'm just going to keep going until,
I do want to point out, though, towards the end of the hunt, right when you shot your buck, when I walked by your car, Brinker hangs out like he was a homeless person in his vehicle. He had
my God.
Hundreds of water bottles.
Bags of jerky.
Yeah, just food
Just
wrappers
shit
all
everywhere.
over.
Dude, the classic.
Sour Patch Kids.
That passenger seat was loaded with goodies.
It was, yeah.
But they're all empty. Right?
I made
Wrappers.
several midday runs to the gas station, just got random water bottles. Because I was always in a hurry because I'd screw up a stock and be like, damn it. And I'd run out of water. Like, crap, I need more candy, water. And, it turned into a junk heap. Like, I look like a hoarder for sure.
Classic.
For sure.
Classic. Yeah, so today we got Dave Brinker on the podcast. Came down to Vegas, hang out with us. Been in the hunting industry for a long time. Country singer. He's got his own podcast.
The Altitude Show podcast.
Yeah.
Did I get that
You
correct?
do it all.
Well, I do the things.
He is a beast.
He is a beast. and he comes into antelope camp and just slays. What can't this guy do?
Yeah, but, well, we can talk about, because I thought the highlight of that trip was Trail's text message to us right after I shot that buck. where he said BBD bitches.
BBD bitches. That is a
No, it's
classic one.
good. It's good to be here. I appreciate it. You guys got your podcast off the ground similar time as.
Yeah, it's been really, really enjoyable. Just like sitting around talking. We had this thought before about making it more structured, but we think we have it kind of structured. We know what we're talking about. We
go back and
points,
forth.
But sometimes
Maybe,
it's just to
maybe
have
like
stories.
throwing in some like segments where maybe we have to answer a question each of us or
Yeah.
something like that
Yeah.
to break it up, add
Yeah.
some
deep
different
diving.
different things to it. But
Podcasts. I listen to podcasts almost all day.
Yeah.
Because I work alone. I really enjoyed it because it actually gives me an excuse to talk to my friends that I never actually get to have a real conversation with. Spending 2 hours with dudes like you or whoever, just talking about really. A lot of times, like you guys said, what should we talk about? Often my answer is I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Wherever. Let's just have a conversation.
Just record it.
Yeah. Let's just hit record and.
Sometimes
and
I think
go.
those are the best discussions. Like when I listen to other people have podcasts, I'm like, you don't know what you're going to get, but it dives into so many different rabbit holes that it just seems more natural just to have a conversation with like three dudes like we're at camp right now.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I think that's what it should be. That's what people want.
Yeah.
It's like comforting to sit and like at work and like listen to people bullshit. I don't know why. If it's like human nature that we're so used to, we're also insulated from human interaction these days because we're all on our computers or our phones or whatever. It's kind of nice just to feel like you're at a campfire listening to people bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
it's
the
comforting.
best.
And then every once in a while I want to listen to like a serious one where it's like
Yeah.
heavy. But sometimes like I listen to Rogan just like a lot of people do
Right.
too. And like you have his where he has all his comedian buddies come on and get drunk and smoke cigars, and it's just literally about nothing. They'll pull up random videos, but then you have like his really deep dive, serious, like where's the human species going, where it's like, and I like both, but it's just all about talking to cool people.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys want to check out Dave's podcast, it's The Altitude Show.
Yeah, the Altitude
He's got
Show.
a bunch of great guests on there. I've listened to it a couple times, and like he's saying, a bunch of his buddies, a bunch of well-known people throughout the industry, and even people that aren't in the industry, which is cool to listen to at the same time.
Yeah, I try to obviously hunting is a big part of my life and the industry and stuff, but I try to bring in folks that have nothing to do with that too, because it's not, we talk a lot about hunting, but my podcast isn't really necessarily a hunting podcast.
Right.
We talk about entrepreneurship and life and, all kinds of things, adventure. But I have musicians on. I had Colin O'Brady, who's like a world famous adventurer on, who's like walked across Antarctica and stuff like that. But oftentimes, like my best friends are hunters, so we that's just what we talk about.
Yep.
And I think my audience loves that stuff. But we're gonna co-release this one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
So my audience, Chris and Brady and Trail, who's not here because he's hunting, and we're all jealous.
Yeah.
And
Trail has a beast of a season too.
well, not only does he have a beast of a season, Brady. Let's be honest. Chris brought this up. His name is really fucking cool.
It's the best.
He has the coolest name ever.
Like
by far.
Who wouldn't want the name Trail if you're like a hunter or an outdoorsman?
I will say though, so that one year, what was that, 2018? We hunted with Born and Raised. Trail and I did. Trail's a guy who doesn't know how to stay on a trail though. You think with a guy like Trail, he could like find a trail and like we stay on this elk trail and like easy walking. No, we're just gonna go through the deadfall. And like Trail, 5 yards below, there's a great elk trail going the same way, and he's just up here like going through the deadfall. I'm like, what the F are you doing?
The first time you hear it, you're like, no, that's not your real name.
No.
Like when I've been with him a bunch where he introduced himself, and the first time I met him, he's like, hey, my name's Trail. I'm like, come on, dude, you're fucking with me. Your name's not Trail. Is that like your nickname people call you? And
Right.
And it wasn't until, it might have been like a year until I actually figured out what his full name is. Clinton Trail Forrest Kreitzer.
God, it's so tough. So tough.
I think we should start calling him Forrest.
I almost want to have a fourth child, like my,
Yeah.
and name him Trail.
To have your name partially Trail and then Forest in there as well.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that is gold.
His parents knew what they were doing, man.
Absolute gold.
And then he turned out to actually be a legit hunter. The cool thing about Trail that I appreciate about Trail is he is he's one of those people that's very like technically knowledgeable. Like he's so detail oriented, and when he talks about gear, we all talk about gear.
Yep.
But I've never claimed to be like this gear expert. I just want it to work and not break, and then I go hunting. But Trail's one of these guys that he knows all the details and intricate things about gear. I love talking to him about it. he seems really intelligent.
Yeah. He could literally walk over to one of these boots on the wall behind us and like tell you exactly what kind of leather it's made out of, what the rand is, what the sole is, and just like has that in his head and can keep it in his head.
Yeah, how does he
Where
do
I'm
that?
the type of person who like I can learn about some gear pieces that I know really well, but like I'll forget something that I don't constantly talk about every single day.
Absolutely.
And he's so psycho too. He'll literally go out and just buy backpacks and buy gear just to try it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I'm like, Trail, we could like probably get you a discount on that. Like we probably sell it in the gear shop. Like, no, I need it right now. I want to try it out. Like I want to have experience on it.
We know people.
So when he talks to customers, man, or like people on Instagram, he has experience with it, which is really cool.
I'd never really spent time with him until Colorado this August. And he's on my list now of people that I'm going to ask gear questions when I have gear questions because, like I said, I'm just one of these guys. I like great gear. I have a ton of great gear, but I don't know all the intricate details of all of it. I'm more of a hunter. I just want the shit to work,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
As long as I can kill an elk in it, I'm good, and I won't die.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you want your bow tuned or have bow questions, he's he's so knowledgeable when it comes to that stuff.
Dude, I'm the worst.
Trail's my little superstar. You know, I've been running.
Are you his manager?
The YouTube channel, right? I run the YouTube channel, so he's my golden boy.
He gets all the views?
100%. He gets on there, everyone loves him, and we just hit 100K subscribers.
I was going to say, you guys just got a trophy.
We got it.
Yep.
We got
I can't
the silver
wait to
plaque.
see one of those in my office.
I remember when GOHUNT started his YouTube channel.
Yeah, that was a
long time ago. Mm-hmm. Chris and I had conversations about it. That's awesome, man. You guys put out the cool thing about GOHUNT, and I'm not just obviously I'm here, but I'm not just being nice. I really do think it's cool that it's such a well-rounded company. Like I've actually found myself getting my news from GOHUNT, like my hunting news. Right. Obviously, I'm using the maps now. I can get any of the gear I want. Like it's a very well-rounded company for hunters, and also like because I'm on YouTube all the time, and your guys' videos are always popping up. They're always like very timely. It's like the gear stuff or just the hunting stuff. It's all stuff I want to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're doing a good job, Chris.
Heck yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't know if you get told that enough around here. I know these guys.
So you're saying that Neville should get a raise?
Yep.
Yes,
there we go.
Neville should get a raise.
Write that down.
I like that. Write that down. Write that down. I need Dave as my hype guy to come with me.
Oh, I do. I can do that. I've done that before. Yes. I've got people some raises.
Hell yes. Amen to that.
So, Brady, you just got back from where?
I was in Idaho and Colorado. They were calling it my mule deer sabbatical because literally
how long was that?
I was gone for almost 3 weeks.
Okay.
I was in Idaho for like a full 2 weeks. I think 12 or 13 days I was hunting, and then I bounced over to Colorado.
Were you in the backcountry for 12 or 13 days?
I was deep and nasty, like in the gnar.
Yeah.
In the gnar?
Yeah.
And our plan was, we're going to I had cameramans for both legs. Like, we're going to do this whole, like, day-by-day, long-ass mule deer sabbatical for Brady. But then one of our freelancers, he ditched. So then we made Brady go out and he vlogged.
I learned.
You're a vlogger now? Did you get a selfie stick?
We had the little stick on the bottom of the camera that actually had the you could push it to record, and so I was doing a whole like walking around and talking.
Yeah, we went like that day I went out and bought like a bunch of just like pure like vlogging camera gear, and I said, Brady, I need you to vlog for me on this one, bud.
We'll edit it. Yeah. Just go get all the things.
It was super tough because literally I was going to leave in 40, I think it was like not even 48 hours. It might have been like 36 hours later. The camera guy was going to go with me. I never had him before. Text us and was like, yo, I finally got the sickness of the world. You got COVID. And I was like, if you're feeling sick, that's fine. I don't feel like I'm going to catch it. So if you need to wait like 2 or 3 days and you're feeling better, definitely come on the hunt. But it must have just hit him really hard. I'm like, it affects people different ways, whatever. And so, then we had to scramble and like try to find a camera guy with 36 hours notice for 12-day hunt. Pretty much impossible.
Yeah,
Impossible.
Right.
And my thought was, what's that series on Netflix?
Alone.
Alone. I'm
Yes.
like, Brady, you've seen Alone? I want this exact style.
Yes.
Go out there, set it up, talk about it. It's like good for Brady. Like he's been on enough filmed hunts. So he understands how it works.
And let's be honest. There's a ton of cameramen in the world and women, but you don't just want that. It's got to be somebody that actually knows hunting enough to where they aren't a hindrance to the hunt.
Yeah, I worry sometimes I'm gonna like kill these cameramen.
Yeah,
Some of the
for
places I
sure.
go to. And the place I was going to is like, one of the nastiest places in North America.
Tell us, Brady, where was this spot?
Yeah, where was it exactly?
Yeah.
Let's pull up the map. Well,
let's
maybe you don't care because you didn't see anything.
Exactly. I should give this out. Send everyone there so that when I pick up a tag in Idaho December 1st, I'll get the different area.
My goal is we're going to have to get him to slip sometime on this podcast.
They keep trying to all the time. Like, what
Every
units
time
you
he
hunt,
talks about
what region?
his hunting spots, we always try to get him to like give a little information on where it's
I
at.
love Idaho. I love Idaho. Idaho has been very good to me, and I didn't go back. I haven't been back in a few years actually, but I think next year I might want to go back.
Such a cool
You got
state.
December 1st.
I know. God, everything's going. Arizona's going to that now too.
Yeah, that's a
December
big
1st
change.
is going to be
Have you done the new draw in Idaho yet?
No, I've been avoiding it.
It's kind of a pain in the ass.
That's
It
what I
is.
hear.
You really have to dedicate like at least 4 or 5 hours to your day, unless you're that person.
Yeah,
that gets,
I was in
number
line
one.
for like 6 hours last year.
Oh my God. Where's all this going?
It's kind of getting scary. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, like, if you really step away from it, we're talking about a pretty significant change just in the last, when I was hunting Idaho, this is what, 5-6 years ago? You could buy your tag on the way down there.
Yep, exactly.
That is not that long,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So where are we 5 years from now?
And the hard part too is, it's all. I understand that you have to have resident pride, and residents, they definitely live
For
there.
sure.
They pay taxes,
Yeah.
but like, I know Randy Newberg says it best. We're non-residents of 49 other states,
Right.
and like all these non-resident opportunities are kind of getting cut in a lot
Right.
of places. Or there's not, a lot of them aren't getting cut. They're still the same tag numbers, but it's just getting a little bit harder.
It's
to pick up those
becoming
non-resident
very
tags.
challenging. I mean, I left Montana. I lived in Montana for a long time. I left there 4 years ago. And just the changes that have happened in Montana over the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had 2 years in a row now I haven't drawn Montana, which is crazy.
Crazy.
When I lived there, you could have, there was tags coming out your ears, right? Even for non-residents, it was easy.
Yep.
And now it's insane. And actually, I don't know if this is true or not, so don't freak out, folks, okay? But I did hear they're going to make you start choosing your weapon in Montana.
I heard a rumor
Really?
about that stuff
Yeah.
too.
They're not going to do where it can like roll over into a rifle.
Right, which, by the way, that's what every other state virtually does. So it's not shocking to me. But if you grew up in Montana, you're like, no, this is a right.
Yeah.
And I get it. I loved it when I was there. But it's just that's the way it's probably going to end up going.
Yeah,
because
it might even end up. I could see them switching something over region by region thing too,
Mm-hmm.
because you have all the guys who live in the west coast or west side of Montana that maybe hunt a little bit over there for elk, but then they draw those tags in eastern
Mm-hmm.
part or whatever. Or now they kind of switch that, so you can't do that anymore for elk. But like they would go over there for mule deer, and puts all that pressure on all those people who live over there too.
Mm-hmm.
And so those, like, if you drive around and you don't have a certain county plate in Montana when you're a resident, like, you see a different number, people are like, oh yeah, you have that plate, like, we hate you, and you're like a resident still,
Right,
but they
right.
like hate each other because like you live on the west and go out east to hunt. So
yeah,
even
that's
residents
insane.
eventually are gonna have to. Things are gonna get interesting. For,
I
for
can see it
everyone.
in 5 years. There's going to be no over-the-counter opportunities.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are the experts here, but there's only 2 right now, right? Oregon and Colorado.
Yep.
For elk.
Yeah.
For elk,
that's-
pretty much, yeah.
That's all you've got.
And I can tell you in Oregon, it will change for sure. And I notice a difference because really the only over-the-counter elk tag in Oregon now is Roosevelt, and that's where I live. And I notice a significant difference this year in the numbers of people.
Right.
And the problem is like, I don't really have a problem with it personally, but the elk populations, Roosevelt populations, are pretty sensitive. The population as a whole, like the numbers may not necessarily be affected, but I don't know. I would love to talk to a biologist about. I don't know if this is a true assessment, but my personal opinion on Roosevelt is the bull to cow ratio seems like it's a lot more fragile. Like so if all these great hunters are coming in and just slaying all these giant or like the more mature
Right.
bulls, it takes them longer to bounce back than like a big rock, because these Roosevelt herds are usually like 10, 20, 30.
small
So there's like
rockets.
3 bulls, So between archery season and rifle season, if those 3 bulls get killed every 2 years, like the age class,
Yep.
I've noticed a real decline in age class. Now, obviously you can still find good ones, but it's really hard, right?
Yep.
Whereas in Montana or Idaho, or where the elk populations are just bigger, right? You might be able to cycle through
Right,
some of that stuff
right.
faster. But anyways, the point is I agree with you. I think my prediction is within the next 3 years. I don't know how long Colorado will hold out. maybe for a while.
Yeah.
'Cause
I don't
that,
know.
that is a big moneymaker for Colorado.
Well, you can
and
already
it's a
see
lot
they're-
for those small towns.
They're slowly doing that right now. Like they're taking over-the-counter units and they're changing them into the draw. Like they're doing a couple of units here and there. So it's a matter of time.
And one thing I just wish too, like I can't imagine what it's like to be a biologist or people who make regulations and all this stuff. But like more of these states, we need to start going to mandatory harvest report.
Yeah.
Like we're in a digital age now. Everyone has to apply.
There's
on the
no
computer.
excuse.
There's no paper anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, it might have a little bit of fees on top of like admin stuff to like make something in the system when you apply. Like, did you hunt this year? How many days? Like, there's certain states that do that right now, and there's even certain states that will penalize you where you have to pay a fee afterwards before you can apply. But like Montana, for example, I rarely get called when I have a Montana tag. There's just a random call thing. It's like, I would love to know how many deer you guys are actually taking every single year. And I'm sure you guys would as well. That way we can start managing these herds a little bit better and just understand maybe where these deer are being taken, what the whole population of deer is being taken every year. Can this sustain this?
Agreed.
Like, yeah, it's going to be more work for biologists, and they're going to compile the data.
But really, it shouldn't be. Like in Oregon, we're all app-driven now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so when I kill my bull this year, it's literally like just dit, and then your tag's validated. It records where you are and what the date is and what the time is.
Yep.
It wouldn't be that hard to. And I know. Actually, I'm down here. I traveled with somebody who works at ODF and W. I should ask her, but I don't think it'd be that hard to add. Like when you validate your tag, what did you shoot? How many points did it have?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. So it just goes automatically into a database.
Right.
This should all be automated
Yeah,
at this
then
point.
you're pulling that. Then you can pull that data so easily. You already have it in a database
Yeah.
like that.
And I would appreciate that data too, just from a person who may be applying in a state. Like, I want to know, how many hunters are surveyed in that unit? How many bucks are they taking? Are they mature bucks? Are they immature bucks? Because some guys don't really care, and they just want to go wherever the highest population is.
Yeah, for sure.
Highest numbers, because they just want to. They'll shoot a 2-point, they'll shoot a 3-point, and that's totally fine. But like, it would just give people more ideas to go, and I think it also could spread out pressure too.
Yeah.
Once you get more data points out there, because then everyone's not going to certain spots all the time. Like, they hear it's really good because it might be really good, but the unit next door could also be the same thing, but we just, you don't have those numbers and data points, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's hard for them, but like, I just
It's
wish.
it's really complicated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes you'll be like on the mountain, you'll be like, God damn it, what the hell are they doing? But it's
Yep.
such a complicated equation. And
Oh,
now
yeah.
they're dealing with CWD and
Yeah, you got blue tongue stuff too, and all that. It's
like all the crap that's going on. Like it's getting really complicated. Like there's herds in Montana that they're just trying to kill.
Yeah.
Right. That's scary. Right.
Yeah, jeez.
It's really scary. I have a friend right now who's hunting in northwest Montana in an area for whitetails. I can't remember if they can shoot 2. I can't remember, but it potentially can shoot 2. But they're trying to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Because
Is it CWD stuff? Yeah. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, and it's affecting the mule deer herd. And somebody messaged. So I did a little reel on my Instagram when I was in Colorado last week. We had to check in my buddy's buck who shot for CWD. They have to test every buck that comes out of these units.
Yep.
And one guy messaged me and he goes, "Yeah, dude, we just we got back and 3 out of our 4 bucks had CWD. So they basically have to throw them away."
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what like everything?
I don't know. That's what he told me. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Like, can you not eat the meat when they have that?
I don't believe there's ever been a study that says you can actually transport from the deer to human, but I think there's a cautionary thing. Like,
Yeah, it's like, hey, eat it at your own risk.
because I've gotten a lot of messages before from people, like, they watch my films, like, you eat that meat right on the mountain? I'm like, yeah, that's the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Cooking
absolutely.
up a backstrap right
Yeah.
when you get back to camp
Yeah.
on a fire, and it's like, do you ever concerned about CWD? And honestly, I'm like, no, I really don't. To me, it's like all this other stuff going on in the world. Like, it's probably been around for a while. Like, CWD's been here forever. Like, there's no confirmed cases of it transferring to human. I feel totally safe. And I think that meat, even if it did have something, it's way better than some of this other stuff people are eating in the world.
yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
What does that process look like? The CWD.
the
when you-
testing?
Yeah, when you went and did that.
So you're supposed to, I don't know what the lymph nodes.
Lymph nodes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, when you shoot your deer or whatever in the backcountry, you don't want to. A lot of guys will skin it out and like, you basically just want to chop off its head. Or if you know how to extract those lymph nodes, I think they're okay with that too. But most guys don't. I don't.
Yeah.
So you bring the whole head out and you take it in there and they take out their lymph nodes and they put them in a little baggie and you record exactly where you shot it, the day and all that stuff. And they all go to a lab and get tested. The other way on the buck that my friend shot, They also pulled what's called the obex out of off the brainstem, which is right at the base of the brainstem. And it's like a little thing that looks like a shark tooth almost. And they can test that as well. But it takes like a half hour or something, and there's just deer after deer after deer rolling in there, and she's cutting lymph nodes out, putting them in a little baggie, and sending them to the lab. And then I think you get your results back at some point.
I was going to ask, it's not like instant results. It takes a little bit.
I never even checked my results. I had to get my buck tested last year.
Yeah, so like,
and I never even looked at it.
You take it there, you get it tested, you take all the meat back with you, then you get your results like 5 days later.
I don't know how long it takes.
And they're like, maybe you should not eat that meat.
And I think too, I could be totally wrong in this. So I swear I've read somewhere that if you did take it to a game processor and paid a bunch of money for it, I think the state is helping you reimburse some of those fees, or certain states might be doing that.
Really?
Yeah. Because like you can't really do anything. It's like it's kind of harsh too, because like, so you shoot a deer, you get a rack, but still everyone loves the meat as well. Like I literally live off wild game meat. Like we had mule deer tacos last night. Like every night I have mule deer. Yeah. And so like that person then has to then make that decision. Are they getting rid of it, or are they keeping it? And then you can't go out and shoot another deer because that'd be an extra harvest, and you're not getting that tag back because the season's already over. So it's like, it's a tough area for someone to decide what to do, because that meat could be everything to their family. Absolutely. And now they have that thought in their head, like, should I not eat this? Should I eat it? Yeah. It's an interesting world.
It's a dire situation. It's not good. It's really not good at all.
No.
It's moving pretty quickly. I don't think we have it in blacktails yet in Oregon, but I could be wrong about that.
Do they know exactly how it spreads yet? Is that still debatable?
It's debatable. I think they're saying too, like, which was also scary to me, that more mature, older deer are more susceptible to it. So they're trying to manage and take out more mature deer, which then is also, like I said, going to knock back our herds.
What exactly what does it do to the deer? Do they live a full, long life?
It takes a while for them to get symptoms. It's like a neurological thing. And I'm no expert on it, but it has something to do with, like, I think they just stop eating and stop drinking, and they basically slowly die.
Okay. Yeah, that's why it's hard to like see a deer and be like, oh yeah, that deer has CWD, because like you said, you probably can't identify it right away until a certain stage in their life.
I want to say it could take years before they get symptoms.
Because I know like EHD, when that happens, like it's
pretty quick.
It happens quick. They get that from the stagnant water, and it's like not too much longer, and they're dead.
No.
Strange.
Yeah, I don't know. So the nastiest hole on the face of the planet that you were on, that had no bucks in it.
Yep.
That's Brady's favorite spot.
Were you solo?
I was solo.
Okay.
That was the vlog style.
Okay. Now I have some questions for you about that.
Yep.
We can talk about the hunting for sure, but how do you keep yourself from not getting bored by yourself and like going insane?
It's probably easier for me because I'm one of those type of people who literally just think about this all year round. Like, this is the only thing in life that excites me. I've given up everything. I've given up fishing, given up all sorts of other sports and activities. Like, so I know this is my time to do everything I want to do that excites me in life. So every single day I wake up, it could suck the day before, but I'm like, today's a new day. And there's always one more ridge. Like, there's always a new adventure to me. Like, if I didn't hunt, I'd probably be some like crazy mountaineering person, because I just love that challenge and just the struggle every single day, put my body in something that's totally uncomfortable. That's what mule deer hunting, I think, gives me. Just like every day I'm motivated to just push myself further and further and further and just test myself and eat the foods I do that's bland and the same every single day, because, again, it's just nutrients in my body to make me hunt harder the next day.
Would you say that you... this is a question I asked Lampers. Would you say that you have figured out a way to be totally comfortable in the backcountry? Like, are you struggling?
No, I'm really totally comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like, if it's snowing nasty, it does hurt that day, but I think it just builds to a cool story. And I think it comes back to a lot, too, because I grew up in the Midwest. Like, my dad would always go out west and hunt and come back with stories. And now that I'm out here, I'm kind of want to, like, live vicariously for them and like be able to tell them all these crazy adventures I do, just to motivate them to like want to come out and do these things. And like, so to me, every single day it's just.
Do you read?
Yeah, no, that's what because like a lot of people have, the same thought as you, right? Like, you think about hunting all the time. Like, there's a lot of people like that, but when it comes down to it, they prefer to have their buddy come with them hunting. Yeah. Like, it's a more enjoyable hunt. Like, what is it like? Why do you like hunting by yourself?
I think because every day it's my own decision on what I want to do. It's not like like hunting with a friend is fine and all, but like if I want to go to that ridge in Glass or go over here in Glass or, you know, hike 4 miles, I don't have to ask someone else and make them feel like they might be uncomfortable going that distance or doing that or hiking down that ridge. Like I had an explanation the other day, like we were on the podcast talking about my Colorado hunt. Like I literally left my truck, hiked like 3 or 3.5 miles down this one ridge. And I was like, man, there's definitely gonna be some hunters here, because there was just literally campers and wall tents all along this whole road. There's just tons of hunters. They're all OTC elk hunters. I get all the way out there. There was no one there. I'm like, why hasn't someone been to this spot? This spot's awesome. I was seeing elk. I was seeing deer. I come all the way back, and I didn't get back to camp until like 9-something at night. It's been dark since like 6:30. Some guy drove over and asked me like, hey man, you okay? I'm like, no, I just got back. And he's like, what do you mean you just got back? I'm like, I just got back from my hunt. It took that long to hike from my glassing point back to here. And he's like, really? We're just getting ready to go to bed right now. Because these people are not willing to go and push themselves far to go find these animals. And it sounds easy to say, like, just go deeper, go further.
Right.
But it's like when they get out there, I think some people have in their mind, like, well, I'm just going to find animals here. It's so hard. I'm not going to kill a bull down that hole because it's going to be nasty packing out. Where to me, I crave that, because, like, if that's where the animal is, I want to hunt there. I don't care how hard it takes to get out. This is my time to enjoy my life. And whatever it takes me to do to get to that point, like, that's just makes me fired up inside to like know I'm going somewhere where other people don't want to go. And I think that's what leads to a lot, normally, my success. The harder I push myself, the more chances I have to succeed.
Yeah, and you also know, like, you're after a certain type of animal.
So
like you're not just going to carry a forked horn out of there, right? Like when I was in Colorado a couple weeks ago, my buddy had the mule deer tag, and I had an OTC elk tag, and we were seeing lots of bulls, like 5, 6, 7 miles in, but I only saw one that I wanted to carry out of there, and it got shot.
Yep.
So, like, I ended up eating my tag. And people are like, well, why don't you just, why wouldn't you just go over there and shoot one of those other bulls? It's like, yeah, I could go shoot a bull. I don't need to just shoot a bull.
Exactly.
I mean, I would have shot an average bull closer to the truck. But, yeah, I'm not going to just, like, I've carried a lot of elk out in my life. I don't need to just carry a raghorn for 6, 7 miles. Right. But if I saw one over there that got me excited, I would have done all the work necessary to do that. Yep. And if you're in that mindset, it's like, okay, I will do anything necessary to achieve this goal, as opposed to people that are just hunting for meat, for example. They may not need to go in.
They definitely don't.
And
it's different hunting styles. That's what's nice about hunting.
It's like a whole mindset thing, right? But you'll go as far as you need to go to achieve your goal. You don't care. Like, if you find that buck you want, you'll carry it 10 miles. You don't care.
Yep. I'll move camp 4 times to get over there, and then I have to carry my camp. And if I have to leapfrog things and go back in there, like, I want to pack it out all at once. But, like, I will do what it takes to do it.
Back to, like, your style of hunting alone, deep, far, would you say experience, like, being in that situation, you obviously are going to get more comfortable. Like, to me, like, I can remember the first time I ever went on a hunt by myself, right? It's a little daunting. It's a little scary. But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable.
Yep.
The more you, like, look forward to it, the more, like, the easier it gets. Like, how much do you think, like, you've been hunting for a long-ass time. Like, do you think experience is played?
Experience definitely does. Like, I feel more at home in the mountains than literally I do at home right now. I sleep great. I can sleep on a rock, though. I'm one of those people who can just close my eyes and go to sleep. But, like, I feel super comfortable back there.
You're young.
Yeah.
You're probably one of these super duper, ultra lightweight guys too. It's like cutting your sleeping pad in half.
But I carry giant optics and giant weapon. That's why I have to cut everything else. But, like, even going back to, like, Neville said earlier, like, do I read? Do I do anything? But, like, I don't need any of that stuff when I'm back there, because I'm so excited in the moment. Like, I don't need to listen to music or listen to podcasts. Like, sure, I might turn a podcast on when I'm, like, just sitting there at camp, but I don't need that. I never have a thought like, I wonder what's going on in the world. I wonder what, maybe I should leave early to try to do this or whatever. I'm, like, so focused on just being there. I'm so immersed in just, it's hard to describe my, like, love and passion for it, but it's just, I want to be there over anything else in the world. I was gone for almost 3.5 weeks. Like, I was gone for a long time, and I was kind of torn apart and upset that I had to finally leave and go back to civilization. Like, it felt really weird because I'd been there for so long, and I'd just been immersed in the mountain life. Like, every single day, just making my food, hiking, like, even the struggles of getting water. Like, that's a big thing too, to know how to, like, look on a map. How do you find water? By looking on this map. Like, well, look at these steep areas, try to find some water. Hopefully there's snow, and understand if there's snow, I can melt that snow for water. Like, just to know how to get everything to survive. And then even when I had a big nasty snowstorm after I killed my mountain lion, like every piece of wood was wet out there. But like I have the intel to know, like, well, there's going to be some big pine trees that are going to be, the branches are going to be coming down. There's going to be some dry stuff under there. I can use that as a little fire starter, and then get some more stuff that might be a little bit wetter, put that right next to my stove, have that stuff dry out. And it becomes like you just know how to survive and know how to live with these animals. And I think that only comes with experience. But and now I'm so comfortable, like when it snowed 2 feet, I wasn't worried about like, am I going to be warm enough? Am I going to have enough gear? Like, I have really great gear, which I'm very fortunate to have to keep me out there. So that also adds to it too. But like, I just feel like I have everything I need to stay out there, and I could literally stay out there forever and never get discouraged or never be like, man, I wish I could have a taco right now or have a nice cup of coffee. It's like, I just love all the minimalist style of being out there and staying out there. It just fires me up and like
I think that's what most people are, right? They're scared.
It does come down to that.
Like, and if you don't try it, then you won't be able to get more comfortable with it.
I think most people are scared about sleeping in the woods alone.
Yes, scared of doing it. But the thing is, once you get over that fear and you do it, like we're talking about getting more experience, you become more comfortable because you know how to handle situations. You've been there, you've done that. Things become more comfortable, and then at the end of that becomes more enjoyable, and you're pushing yourself. And you can do crazy hunts like that.
It's life, right? Like if you want to figure out how to get through a struggle, you got to actually have the struggle. And you got to figure out. I was telling my wife about. When I'm in those situations, I think about it a lot. It's like, because all the bullshit and distractions we have in normal life, like when you're back there, you're like, where am I getting my next water?
Yep.
I need to get firewood before it gets dark so I can have firewood for the stuff tonight. I need to, how's my pad doing? Like, you're surviving.
Yep. Every night you get back, you have a checklist of chores you have to accomplish before you can go to sleep.
Yep. Did I have enough calories today? How's my water? If I'm going to go to that glassing knob tomorrow, there's no water up there. So I better go get water tonight, or I'm going to have to go in the morning or I'm going to be like thirsty as fuck tomorrow. Yep. So like all these thoughts, but they're like back to the basics, right? And what ends up happening, and sometimes you get anxious, like when in Colorado, you might have been in the same storm, but we had a big windstorm come in with snow and stuff, and it made us rethink where our tent was. We had some like older, like dead trees, or like we better move, stuff like that. But again, it's back to the basics of survival. How do I not die tonight? Yep, exactly. How do we stay comfortable? If we're here, we're out of the wind. We can still have a fire. There's dry wood right there. There's water just down the hill. Blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you get through, because we have, like, if this was 200 years ago, those guys are tough.
Oh, yeah, they're way tougher than we are.
We have all this shit.
Yep, all this gear.
We have all the best shit. Like, yes, you will struggle, and yes, it will suck sometimes, and your fingers will get cold, and all those things.
I literally still can't feel the tip of this finger after this big sabbatical I was on. It just feels so numb.
Right, but you survive.
I survived.
And then when you survive those little challenges, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. Yeah. I know how to build a fire when it's soaking wet now. Yep. I know how to find water. I know how to boil snow. I know how to fix my pad when it deflates. I know how to, I can do this. And then pretty soon, if you do that enough, you're like, I can do this alone. I can do this in harsher conditions. I can go in further. I'm not so scared about carrying that buck 6 miles now. Yep. Right. Stuff like that. But I think the failure point is just like anything. Most people won't start. Yeah. Right.
You got to put yourself out there.
Yes.
You're not going to go forward if you don't.
The truck's nice.
Yeah.
The heater's nice. Yep. The cold beer's nice. The steaks are nice. Like, and some people, that's what my dad has done all this crazy shit his whole life. But now he's 70. He doesn't want to get too far from his truck, his box of wine, and his friends.
Right.
That's why he's there. Yep. He loves seeing the animals. He loves hearing about my adventures. He wants me to be successful. He doesn't give a shit if he kills anything anymore. He just wants to be out there, like, kind of just hearing the stories. He's like the chief in camp that just wants to hear the story around the fire. That's a cool person to be. Yeah. And he's like, whatever, Yep. But when you're our age, it's your time to actually, like, this is like the epitome of living. Yep. Like, boiling life down to the most basics. Yeah. Basic things. Food, water, fire, shelter, and like, it's so simple, but it's invigorating. And then when you go through one of those storms, the other thing I noticed, when when you get through one of these crazy nights, maybe your tent blew, like a stake broke or something where you're like, fuck, this is actually kind of legit.
Yeah.
And you survive it, you're like, that was fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the backside of like, you know, been on a terrible hunt, and it's when you're driving home, if you're successful or not. That's like almost when you get that high. You get that rush of like, damn, you know, I did something, I accomplished something, and you have that good feeling.
Yep.
I always try to remember that when I'm carrying heavy load of meat really long. Because, you know, in the moment, you're like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah, this whole day is going to be horrible.
This just sucks. Every step sucks. My back hurts. My shoulders hurt. But then when you, like, take that pack off and sling it down the tailgate, you're like, fuck, that was awesome. Let's go get another one.
I mean,
you know?
There's some side, like it's this, I look at it similar to a runner's high, right? There's some chemical or something that happens, you know, when you exert yourself or you do something that's hard, like you have a good feeling after that carries.
And you want to do it again.
Yeah. Then you're like, damn, that was kind of nice.
On the female side, when my wife had our third child, like, she did it. She had 3 kids with no drugs. Crazy. I would have taken all the drugs. Our son Davey was born, and I never will forget this. Like 5 seconds later, she goes, "I want to do that again, I think." And I'm like, "Oh my God.
After all that?
I'm going to get clipped tomorrow. This is over."
I can't watch it. I can't watch it again.
But it was so hard. Obviously, labor is so hard. I can't even imagine how hard it is. And then women oftentimes will go through this thing where it's like, once it's over, the relief and then this rush of like, that was amazing, right? I think us as male hunters or female hunters, whoever, have that same sort of thing. Like, we have to, like, we actually seek suckiness. I was joking on my Instagram the other day because when we were walking out in that windstorm, it was so brutally cold. You're post-holing, it sucks. And I got to think, because I actually do have a tropical side too. I love going to Hawaii and like fishing and hunting axis deer and sitting on the beach and all that stuff. I was thinking, God, like, I wonder how I got to right here. Like, why do I like this so much? Because I could have gotten to surfing or bowling or whatever, but I actually kind of like this. I like my face being windburnt. I like being like dehydrated and starving and looking for these animals, these crazy animals in the weirdest places, you know? But why is that? Like, sometimes you do wonder, like, why the fuck do I like this? Because most people would think this is like the epitome of misery.
Yeah.
I think it also like leads back to like sometimes I'm just so immersed in it where early this year I went on a scouting trip to Idaho for like over 4th of July, and I just got so immersed in the task at hand of trying to find deer, trying to find more ridges, push myself deeper and deeper and deper because I wasn't finding deer, so like I had to just keep going further. I totally forgot to send any sort of in-reach message to my family back in Minnesota, my dad. And like when I got out to service, I had all these messages. He was like, "Where are you? I thought you'd come out, blah, blah, blah." He didn't know I had like we had a couple extra days at GOHUNT. We had days off. So he was like, he emailed in to GOHUNT. He called in to GOHUNT. It's like, "Hey, has anyone heard from Brady?" I think he's like, and he's like, "Next time you leave, like, give me Neville's number so like I should have someone to call." Because I was so immersed in the task, I totally even spaced out. Even though I had my in-reach on me every single day, just totally had everything I needed. I was totally safe. I was just immersed in that task where I totally spaced out to communicate.
Well, it does focus you to the present, which is the amazing thing about it too.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's therapeutic.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, to me, it's 100% therapy. Yeah. Like, I have to do it, and like it puts stuff that are important in the forefront. Like, you're not thinking about all this other shit that you have to do every day. Like, it's putting stuff that are important that you can think deeply about. Like, you always come out after, you know, you're happier with your loved ones, or you were, you know, like.
And then as the weeks progress, your mood, like, I noticed this with me, like.
Dude, I get depressed when I come back from hunt. Like, I have that, like, couple days of, like, depression, like, oh my God, this fucking
back
sucks.
to this.
You have, like, that instant high, like, right when you get home, and, like, you know, you're really excited, had a great hunt, you know, super good emotions, and then it's like you have that lull depression a little bit, and you're like, God damn it.
But I think it also it makes you such a better human when you get back here too. Like, you understand how to do all these struggles, you understand how to push through, and the same thing then can be pushed back into work life, family life, like all the other activities you do. Just makes you such a more well-rounded person going through those struggles. Because then when you come here and you have a big work task you have to do or a big project, it's like, it's easy. Like, you know how to handle it. You know how to work through it with even like a friend you're hunting with. So like you're collaborating on a project over here, you know how to work together with people because you're just very well-rounded and experienced and calm. I think that's the biggest thing like hunting's ever taught me, just to be calm and present in everything you do and all the patience. Like, just
well, and with you too, which I respect about you and others that I know, is the discipline that it takes to, especially mule deer. For those that don't know, because there's a lot of people that listen to my show that may not be like hardcore mule deer, maybe have never hunted mule deer. Mule deer are this species out west where there's not a lot of big ones left. You know, that we've struggled. The populations are
behind us.
And as a species, I've heard like scientists talking about, like, mule deer they may not last forever. Like, they're a species that it's just they always get the shitty end of the stick.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a bad winter, mule deer get killed. If the cats are out of control, the mule deer are getting killed. But there's these guys and gals that just focus their life on mule deer because of the mystique, and it's I think it's mostly about the challenge of it.
Yeah,
like, if
put
you,
yourself in amazing places.
Well, and mule deer do live in amazing places, right? They hide in these hidey holes, this shithole that he's just talking about. And when you do finally find one, you're like, it's like this. It's like you're seeing an alien or a ghost. You're like, holy shit, there is one.
I mean, it's a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
Yes.
How
they
vast
don't bugle. They don't.
The country is that these animals live in. It's literally a needle in a haystack, especially for a mature one like you're talking about.
Yeah, and so the discipline that it takes to do that, and then like you did this year, Brady, to eat your tags, and, you know, where most people would have probably shot that 130 or 40, 50, whatever you said you passed up in Idaho, including me. Not because of your ego, but because you're seeking that ultimate challenge. And if you can't get that ultimate challenge, you're willing to go home and throw that tag in a Ziploc bag with all the rest of the unnotched tags in your.
I collect all the unnotched tags.
Yeah, I do too.
Even the notched tags.
Someday my kids are gonna be like, "Damn, Dad, you sucked at hunting."
Like, to some extent, like, it's conservation, right? Like, he's letting something now. Next year, that buck is, if it's still alive, is going to be bigger.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's something maybe more of us should look at. Like, you know, it's nice shooting stuff a lot, but to some extent, if you don't just shoot everything under the moon and you're looking for like a certain age class and you're like to that point in your hunting career, like, that is conservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. The older I get, the easier it is for me to do that.
Right.
But I've always been, and I think it's stemming from most of my life. I hunted with a recurve bow, and when you're hunting with a recurve bow, there's nobody that can truly be that. I mean, you can be picky if you want, but you're never going to have meat in the freezer.
Yeah.
And if you live on wild game like I do, you got to make a choice.
Yeah.
Do I want to try to kill a giant with my recurve, which is probably like once every 5 or 10 years, really, in reality, if you're hunting elk or something, like a true big one? Or do you shoot a 4x5 every year, or a spike, or a 3x4, whatever? You got a full freezer, and it's really hard to even just shoot something with the recurve. That's kind of the environment I grew up with. But over the last several years, especially since I switched over to a compound, where I'm much more efficient out to, I don't shoot very far, but 40, 50 yards, which is double my effective range with my recurve. Now I have the choice. It's like, okay, I know I can kill a bull. If it comes down to it, I know I can kill a bull to get meat.
Right.
Or maybe I'll get an out-of-state rifle tag or something.
Yeah.
So now I can go, okay, I want to have the discipline like Brady or Lampers or somebody like that, and be like, no, I am totally fine eating this tag unless I can harvest the bull that I want. And I will be fulfilled. But that's the challenge I want, and it's all mindset. Like, if you set yourself on that and you stay disciplined like you do, and you're truly willing to eat that tag, not just kind of.
It's still really hard.
Yeah, you got to go through that last day and still pass up a 5-point.
Yeah, but again, all you need is one opportunity.
Half a
all
second.
you need is that one sighting of that deer, and game on.
Yeah.
That one little ear twitch, or like see that little antler, I can see a little shadow of a deer moving through the timber. That's all I need, and that's what motivates me to. Again, I always say too, like, I would rather kill a deer in the last day than the first day. It was like, oh, why pass on the first day to kill on the last?
Yeah.
Well, every single day I'm hunting, that's one more day of experience. That's one more day of knowledge I have hunting that animal, hunting that terrain, testing myself. So if I have a 5-day hunt plan and I kill on day 5, that's 5 days of experience. That I go into next year a little bit more prepared, a little bit more dialed with my toolkit on how I'm going to hunt these animals.
Yeah, killing on the first day can be a little bit of a high because you've been waiting all year and it's like super exciting, but then it's like a immediate drop off.
Yeah.
It's like, well, shit, now what do I do? I got to wait till next year now?
The opposite side of that is you could put all that effort into scouting and you had totally your stuff dialed, and then you're prepared to kill on the first day, and then that's kind of rewarding too because you did all the homework ahead of time. Like it started basically scouting, and then opening season was just the kill part.
And like you're seeing, like if you think about it, your end half of the trip is more likely going to be the better hunting because you've had those 3 or 4 days to learn the country, figure out where the animals are. Like you're going to put yourself in a better position towards the end of it. And I think if you have that mindset, knowing like it takes time, like you're in a new area, like it should be your end of the half of the hunt should be better, hopefully.
And it's like me too, because like I pick up tags that are, what most people consider like low opportunity tags, or they're over the counter, or they're easy to draw for a reason because the deer numbers aren't there. So it adds that extra challenge too. And so you do have to realize every single day is like, this isn't a trophy unit. There's not a high population of
there's
deer.
literally like there could be less than 5 deer in the entire unit that are in your caliber that you want.
But also I always think in the back of my mind too, like there could be deer in this unit because it's so challenging that just die of old age. They literally are up here and they never see a person, and that's why I want to hunt. I know I can kill deer close to a road. I know I can go stay in a hotel and go out and run down the road and see a buck and shoot it. But like to me, hunting is about that adventure and that just the craziness that I get from just being back there and just living with them.
For sure.
And I think one of the problems is like social media and egos, right? It's not cool to not shoot something.
Yeah, it's 100%
It's cool to have a picture on Instagram or something that, hey, you shot something. Even now, like, we're becoming more popular, like, doesn't matter what the size is. So, like, people are just out there shooting or whatever because it's cool. It feels
it's
good.
It's the hunting industry's bikini picture.
I'm a good hunter because I shot something.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think we should go the opposite way and make it cool of, if you're holding out for a mature animal that you ate your tag.
Yeah.
That's harder.
It's just hard. It's hard. I think the human nature is we want to bring something back to our tribe.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we've done for thousands of years. Like when we go hunting, we want to bring it back and show our, it is an ego thing, and that's okay. But I agree with you. If that's what you want, right? Like I can already think of hunts where I don't care if we shoot. Like when I take my son out, for example, like this year, my son, he shot a spike by fork, blacktail, and I was actually more excited. I damn near cried. Watching him shoot that than I was shooting my bull this year. And like for the next several years, yes, we will try to find him a big animal for sure.
Right.
But I also don't want him to get too hung up on that yet. I want him to make good executed shots, take good care of the meat. Yep. Like we need to do some fundamental things first, and then we can kind of get him in this mindset of, okay, are you ready? Because he's already talking about, I think next year I'd like to only shoot a 4-point with eye guards. And I'm like, okay, fair enough, right? We'll try, bud. But if you get a good shot at another fork and horn, I want you to execute another good shot. I want you to. I still haven't made you carry a load out yet, so maybe next year you're going to pack your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's do the basics first. So it just depends what you want.
There's definitely 100% like in the lifespan of your hunting career, like everyone's in different spots, right?
Yeah. And you have to start somewhere, like you said. You have to learn those basics. How to control your breathing when you're in front of an animal. Like you could say he wants to go after a mature deer, but then once he's behind that mature deer, his mind just might freak out because he's so excited because it's a big deer. Where if he had some, easier hunts beforehand, just some smaller deer or whatever, he's eventually going to get comfortable and comfortable with the point. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, for sure.
So you have to start, and even like when people get intimidated, like you kill a bull elk and you haven't touched a bull elk before, that's a lot of work when that animal's on the ground. Like how do you cut that thing up? Like you got to start somewhere and work your way up.
The other thing is just being realistic also. Like most people that are coming out to Colorado, for example, like I was just with these people. I saw them. They're from all over, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, whatever. They have 5 days off from work or whatever they have. They're with their family. This is their one hunting trip of the year. They're not great hunters because they haven't done it much.
Yep.
they're gonna and they're there for the meat. Like we camped next to these really nice folks. We didn't camp next to them, but they were at the trailhead. They were camped there, and they had a doe hanging and a forked horn hanging and all this stuff. But they were literally grocery shopping.
Yep.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. Whatever's legal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sure.
But if you want to push yourself to that next level of what we're talking about, like with Brady, you also have to be realistic, because anybody who actually does that will tell you that there's a few things you need, right? First of all, the animals have to exist. So you got to have age, you have to have genetics. But the biggest thing, and then you have to have the skill set and the gear, time.
Yep.
Right? So if you have 5 days off and you're flying out from Michigan, which really means you have 3 days to hunt because you got to catch your flights, let's not set unrealistic expectations. Exactly. You're probably not going to shoot a 190 over the counter in Colorado, right? Yep. So come out, enjoy it yourself. If you get a shot at a 3 or 4 point and you want to take those animals, be stoked. I'm stoked, you know? But if you actually want to try this mindset shift, you have to have 4 or 5 things in line. Otherwise, it's just not realistic. Yes, you might get lucky, but it's just not realistic. And it actually might be kind of a drag on your ego and might make you feel bad that you can't. Why can't I do I scroll dude, I almost don't want to scroll through Instagram in September and October and November.
Oh yeah, it does hurt.
Because you're like, dude, I haven't killed a bull yet. Why do these 5 guys kill? Well, those 5 guys out of the 200,000 guys that are doing it right now, you know, like it can really hurt your ego. So just make sure you keep that in check.
Yep.
This takes 100%. Time. Brady was just literally by himself for 3 weeks and did not shoot one. And he has all the best optics, all the best gear. He's in good areas. It's not like it's just, I want to shoot a big thing now, therefore I will shoot this big thing.
Yep.
You know?
No, and we deal with a lot of people who are new hunters or just getting out west.
Yeah.
Like the number one thing you tell them right off the beginning is realistic expectations of this hunt. Okay, if you're going into an area that doesn't hold big animals, and you're not that great of a hunter, like you probably set a realistic expectation of what you're going to go on this hunt. Yeah. Stick to that goal and then go for it.
Yeah, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of nice too about knowing maybe a little bit of intel. That's why I really like what we do here, trying to help people set their expectations a little bit with with our unit profiles and stuff. You can kind of learn what might be expected there. Like if you're going to go to a spot in central Montana and think you're going to shoot a 200-inch deer, and that's the only thing you're going to hold out for because you hear people shooting 200-inch deer, but the top in that unit's 140, and you're passing 140s every single day. Yeah. Like that's a trophy in that unit.
Right.
And you have to realize that too. You can't just have, I'm going to shoot a 400-inch bull every time I go out, or all these people are doing it. And that's why looking through social media is very hard a lot of times.
Well, it's very deceiving.
Because you're seeing all these people being successful, but they might be successful because they've been hunting for a long time, or they have a really good area and they've just learned it really well, or they drew a good tag that year. And you're seeing all these people who actually drew good tags. You're not ever seeing those people who don't, because some people are not willing to say they failed in a sense. But I think that's a good learning point when you can explain I didn't capitalize on what I was doing, but I still had a great time, still learned something, and I'm stoked more now for next year. I'm already so excited for 2023.
Yeah.
Because of all the stuff I've learned. And I'm like, I did a lot of stuff last year preparing for this. I'm now going in deeper with more of my research. I'm reading all these more biology books, I'm immersed in it even more because of the experiences that I had. And it doesn't deter me from, like I said yesterday in my Instagram post, it stings. But I'm more motivated than ever. I know it's what I have to do what I want to do, because I want to hunt old mature deer, because hunting old mature deer is that extra challenge. The mountains are already a challenge to begin with. So surviving up there is just a goal in itself. And you add on top of it hunting an old animal, that just, like I said before, it just makes my whole life more complete.
Absolutely.
Having that extra challenge on top of it.
Yeah, and then people super experienced hunters like Brady and the Lampers of the world, they're essentially setting that example, right? They're going out, they had a goal, they're looking for a mature animal. And for people there's pressure, right? There's a little bit of pressure. People know you as the mule deer killer. I have to kill a big mule deer.
Yeah.
And then coming out and just saying, hey, didn't find the mule deer I'm looking at, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. I think setting that example is good for people who are experienced hunters, that you don't need to be showing off all the time. It's more about the hunt. Have less of an ego. It's okay to set a goal and go out there and didn't accomplish what you're looking for, couldn't find the mature deer that you're looking for, but
the odds are stacked against you, so it's just real. You're being real.
Yeah.
Right? If you're actually going to try to do this, you're not going to succeed all the time. No. I mean, if you do, I'm skeptical of it.
Yeah.
If you're 100% successful in doing what you're trying to do, that's when you get like, are you following all the rules? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just a mindset thing, and it's very invigorating if you actually, any goal in your mind, right? Like it could be, I want to shoot a 140 with my longbow.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. It's all about whatever you like.
Right.
But I do think there is something worthwhile in just taking whatever you did this year and trying to make it a little better next year. So like going, you know what? I don't need to kill I'm not going to kill a 400-inch bull. Most of us will never kill a 400-inch bull. But maybe I shot a 260 this year, and maybe I'm going to just set a goal. Like I'd like to try to find, like I really want to push myself. I'm going to pass up the first 5-point that walks by this year, and I'm going to try to shoot a 280 and above. Because where I live, that's a big bull, whatever. Randy Ulmer said something one time that I thought was pretty good, which was, he's like, I'm not trying to kill the biggest animal in the world every time I go out. And if we all know, he kills giants of everything. He tries to kill the most mature animal in that area.
Yep.
So like it may be, like he even said, like this is a while ago, but like there's an area of Colorado where he hunts elk where if you kill a 300-inch bull, that's a big bull. That's a really big bull, right? And then he goes to Nevada where you shouldn't shoot a 370, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you're at, what your limitations are, how much time you have, what your skill sets are, if the animals even exist where you are, right? Where I live in Western Oregon, so I was going to tell you, if you're going blacktail hunting next year, do not hunt my area of Western Oregon. The age class just is not there anymore. Like it's awful blacktail hunting. The numbers are down. Trying to find a mature buck is almost impossible. But if you go further south in the state, your chances go up. So then if you let's just say hypothetically, because I have never killed the blacktail of my dreams. But if I was going to set that goal and go out to try to achieve it, the first thing I would do is go, where do those things exist? Well, then you go, oh, they're mostly in Southern Oregon. Then you start looking at map. Okay, so I could achieve my goal in Southern Oregon. Okay, so now I need time. And then what resources do I need? Is it a rifle hunt? Is it archery? And you start doing these things, and over the course of time, if you just stick to it, you're gonna achieve it.
Yeah.
Right? But you got it's an intelligent approach to, as opposed to just, I don't know, I go to the same unit in Colorado every year, and I'm just hoping for that 200. It's like, well, maybe that deer does not exist where you are.
Right.
It may not literally live there. Or you may not you can't do it in 5 days, dude. Like you got to go, like you need, Lampers says I mean, ideally, any hunt shouldn't be under 14 days.
Yeah. When you're hunting those mature deer, you do need the time.
Yeah, because that deer may only show up in daylight once in those 14 days, and your binos better be on that one little sliver of an opening from that one spot you can see it from at that exact point in November when that buck decides to come. Like, think of the odds of that.
It's crazy when you start thinking of it that way, because it literally has to happen like that.
I know. And when you're looking at that country, like you're sitting, like your glassing points, you find these glassing points. We were talking about this in Colorado. Sometimes I bet you if you did the math, you can probably only see like 5 to 10% maybe of a basin, right? And let's just see you see 20 deer in the morning. Well, how many deer are really there, right?
I've always wanted to know that. I just really, sometimes I sit back there and it's like, it'd be so cool, but like cool in a way where I couldn't hunt it then, but like if I could just know.
Yeah.
Just know.
Yeah, there's 100 deer in this basin. God damn it, I can only
see any of them.
You can't see any of them.
Or you'll like this happened last week. We were like, there's like one opening in in a part of the basin that we could see, literally one. And it was like maybe like 50 yards wide. And one morning, a 3-point walk through it, and then 2 bull moves, and then some does. And I'm like, I can only see 50 yards of those 2 little drainages right now, and we've seen 10 animals walk through those 2 openings.
Yeah.
Is it just that opening that's good, or is that whole basin alive with deer? But my point is like if you start thinking of the odds of actually catching that buck you're looking for in that opening, dude, it's insanely low.
It is so low.
And I'm honestly a big believer in, like, the harder you work, luck will find you.
Yeah,
like there's been
a
a ton of hunts, like one when I was with Brady, he shot that 200-inch deer in Colorado. We were just working our asses off, hunting for 7 days straight, and we've been looking at this same spot 1,000 times. We check it every day, walk by, and then finally, all of a sudden there's just a deer there, giant 200-inch buck. Like, we've looked at this spot,
and he was
1,000
probably
times.
over there the whole
Right.
time.
He's
He
probably
just-
in that thick timber.
Yep.
Right, and like people will say, like, "Oh, you guys got lucky. Like, you were
Yeah.
there at the right time."
Sure you did.
And you're like, yeah, but
and it is nice.
it's like you have to pay forward that hard work, and then
Yeah.
luck will always find you.
Yeah.
It'll find you if you put in the
It
effort.
for sure won't if you don't set the goal and be out there to achieve it.
Yeah.
It won't find you.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to hear some stories on your hunting season.
Yeah,
You,
I have a few.
that bull you shot.
Yeah.
Was that over the counter Roosevelt?
Hmm?
Yeah, that thing.
At first,
is
I
a
couldn't tell.
slammer.
I asked Neville, I was like, "Is that a Roosevelt?"
That's what I was wondering too.
Yeah.
That thing was
Is that
a
the biggest
stomper.
Rosie you shot?
It's the biggest one I may ever see.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. So, just perspective is Roosevelt. So a Boone and Crockett Roosevelt's what, 270 or 265 or 2. I can't remember. I really don't care. I never score anything. But you start getting a big Roosevelt in my area. Usually the mature bulls, they're like big, heavy 5 points. They're like little crab claw 6s, and they're beautiful, white tips, dark, you know. But every once in a while, a 300 plus will pop up. Every year, maybe there's like 1 or 2 killed or something like that. And those are like shooting a 400-inch
Yeah, for sure.
bull. Actually, maybe even a little bigger than that if you
Yeah.
do it by the ratios.
Yeah.
So, but I've lived there. I grew up there, and then I left for a while. Now I'm back, and I've killed a ton of raghorns and stuff like that. We already talked about that. Mostly because that's pretty much what you shoot. That's the culture.
Yeah, that's Roosevelt.
That's what they're there.
Roosevelt.
A 5 point walks by, you're going to get like 1 or 2 opportunities a year. You better shoot them, or you're not going to kill a bull. So I always just shot them. Last year, I decided that exactly what we've been talking about. I go, you know what? I'm now at the point in my life where I'm a good enough hunter. I have the skill set to do this. I have the time. I have out-of-state tags. I can get my meat elsewhere. I really want to kill my dream Roosevelt. That dream Roosevelt is one of the most, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if there's an animal out there that I would rather have than that dream dark-horned Roosevelt. I don't know if it's just because I grew up there or what, but a lot of people have the same dream. But they're really hard to find, and killing them is just like killing any other elk, but finding them is the challenge, right? So anyways, I set this goal, and then I started asking my question, okay, well, if I look at the last 20 years of hunting these things, these areas I have been hunting them, I can think of 2 bulls that are in the arena of what I want that I've seen in 20 years. But there's these other units where there's harder access and less elk, but every year these bigger bulls pop up, 300, 310, even like 350. Like there was sheds of one bull. I have pictures of it on my camera. It was 368.
Oh boy.
And it just died of old age. But because it was in an area that I just couldn't hack it. I couldn't figure out how to hunt it. It was too blocky private. Like even if you got permission on one, he was always on this one. So long story short, I go, okay, so these other units, they have the age and the genetics, right? So now I have like a few of the different factors. So I'm like, I'm setting this goal. I'm declaring it. I declared it on a couple podcasts to make sure I held myself accountable, because I knew that God was going to march a 5 point or 2 by me and test me.
Sure,
You know, 'cause
yeah.
I
That
love
test.
shooting elk with my bow, and I love eating them. I love it. So I declared it, and then it was really weird, you guys. Like, so just a little bit of a backstory. My dad started bow hunting my grandpa moved to Oregon in like the 50s and started bow hunting for mule deer on a place called Heart Mountain National Antelope Refuge. And he used to walk around there with his longbow and a quiver full of arrows, just jump shooting at mule deer. That's what they used to do.
Gosh.
I mean,
Wild.
and my dad remembers his childhood, just giant mule deer standing up out of the sagebrush and arrows flying. So he was introduced to archery hunting very early in life. But then he rifle hunted for a long time, shot tons of mule deer, tons of elk. In 1978, when bow hunting started becoming more of a thing,
Right.
and Larry Jones was tinkering with elk bugles and all
What a
these
legend.
things. I know.
Yes.
My dad decided to start bow hunting elk. And he started doing it in the county that I grew up in, and in this one specific area. And anyways, fast forward to last year, I told my dad, I am going to kill a giant Roosevelt next year, or I'm eating my tag. He goes, let's do this. And I told him kind of I'm going to shift areas. I'm going to shift the way I'm doing things. Because where we've been hunting is just Raghornville. I'll go there with you, but I'm probably not going to shoot any of those bulls. And anyways, over the next few months, he started having dreams. My dad did. He had 2 or 3 of them, and he would call me. He goes, I saw your bull last night, and I saw where you're going to shoot it.
You were manifesting it.
And he told me what my bull looked like and where I was going to shoot it, which ended up being within hundreds of yards. Right.
So crazy.
Anyways, so
fast forward. I need your dad to send me a couple dreams.
I had a couple dreams too, but I don't know if it was because he was telling me about it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is getting cool. Yeah. Like I could imagine it, right? I could really imagine it. So anyways, long story short, when the season came around, I devoted my season to these areas that had very few elk, but they had the
opportunity,
at least a chance. I think if I could find, like, literally no elk, like literally if I saw an elk track, my heart would pump, because I knew if I could find even just 3 or 4 cows, there was going to be a big bull, because nobody's hunting them. Mm-hmm. And so the day before the season, I finally found a little clatter of cows, probably like, I thought at the time it was like 6 or 10. And I'm like, oh, because I know there's going to be a big one here. Didn't know, but I guessed. Anyways, opening week, I finally saw these cows, and there was, 10 or 15 of them. Didn't see a bull, but I knew it would show up. Fast forward, I just kept hanging out, and one day I went in there in the afternoon, and I'd never hunted anywhere here, and I heard a bunch of raking. I'm like, well, could be a squirrel. I stood there, and pretty soon I could tell. You can tell when a big bull's raking as opposed to like a raghorn. Yeah. Like, it sounds like a dinosaur mowing down a tree. And it was like 60 yards in front of me. And but it was in this really shitty brush or whatever, so I couldn't see it. Anyways, this is like September.
And this is like your typical Oregon Roosevelt, like thick as shit jungle.
Yeah, this is like, even though country. He was 60 yards from me,
right?
I still wouldn't see him for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that country.
Just jungle.
Yeah. Anyways, this is like September 1st, and then he starts bugling. It's like 4:30. Bugles. So that evening, I did not have good wind. That's the other thing. Sometimes elk hunting, I'm very aggressive. In these other areas I'm hunting where there's a lot of elk, I can be aggressive because I can always find more.
Yeah.
Like, there's another 5 point with 10 cows over the next drainage. But I knew in this area that I could not do that. So I was going to be a lot more intelligent, and I was going to sit back until it was right. So this first time I encountered this elk, it was not right. The wind was not perfect. And so I just set my bow down, and I laid there in the brush 60 yards. I left the bugle and all the calls in the back. Normally, 10 years ago, I'd have been,
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm just going to sit here. He's either going to work this way, or I'm going to let him go, because it's not right. I couldn't get through the brush. It was so thick. And so that evening, I just listened and learned. And one of the things I learned is they were doing this one certain thing. I found out where their feeding area was, and I'm like, okay, learn. I snuck out of there with the wind right, and I didn't bother him. And I did that a couple times. And what I learned about this bull was when he's not bothered, he's extremely vocal. Roosevelts are much quieter than Rockies. Like, they don't bugle as unprovoked as Rockies do. And I don't know if it is necessarily their biology or whatever, or if it's just because they don't have much competition.
Yeah.
A Roosevelt herd in Montana where there's 100 elk and there's 20 bulls, they're constantly checking each other, right? But if you have a Roosevelt bull who literally spent the whole summer with the only other 2 bulls in the area, he's like, dude, Joe's over there and Bobby's over there, and I'm not scared of them. So they don't talk. Or it very much more, like this whole rut fest idea that you get in the Rockies. I don't care what anybody says. Rut fests very rarely happen Roosevelt hunting. You can get them to bugle, yes, and you can call them in, yes, but these bigger bulls, they just don't. But this bull would bugle like every 10 minutes, unprovoked, growling. So I learned that about him. Anyways, fast forward, I finally kind of sat back for like a week and kind of figured this thing out. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to hang out in this pattern they're doing for the rest of the season. And I have time. I got There was only a couple other people up there that had any idea, I think, and I just hung out there for, I think I hunted him 4 or 5 times, and the 5th time, he finally decided to. He almost never left the brush in the daylight, as far as I could tell.
Right.
His cows did, but he wouldn't. Anyways, I finally one day I was able to cut him off when he finally came out in the open, and it ended up being like at 30 yards, and he stopped broadside. And that was really the first time I actually ever clearly saw him. I knew he was a 300 bull. I'd seen him one other time right at daylight. But yeah, when I walked up to him, I'm like, holy shit, that thing's legit. Yeah, he's world class. I mean, he's top 50 ever shot with a bow.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And
So how many days do you think you were after him?
I only hunted him 5 times.
5 times.
Yeah, but I did it really intelligently.
Yeah.
I bugled
Patiently.
once, and it was a mistake. He pushed his cows away from me.
He said, ugh.
I got like 40 yards from him in the brush, and he was screaming, and I'm like, okay, I can probably do this. Nope. I cow called at him once, same thing, pushed his cows away. So the calling tactics wouldn't work with this guy.
Well, that's what they always say for your bigger elk. It's the sneakier tactics.
Well, and people one of the things I've learned because of how blessed I am to know a lot of really great hunters, and I've kind of just been stuffing stuff in my quiver for the last 15 years, is it's MMA. You have to have a mixed bag of skills. You can't just be, well, I shouldn't say you can't. You certainly can just be a caller or whatever. Yeah. But if you really want to be great, you have to be a caller when you need to be, a still hunter when you need to be, a stand hunter when you need to be, whatever it takes to get the job done. And this bull specifically, I found out very quick, I don't need to call. He calls every 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So if he's letting me know where he is, I have no desire to let him know where I am. I can, at some point in the next 20 days, I can place myself in the right spot. Right. He sounded like a dinosaur half the time. He hooked his whole. I've never seen a bull rub and bugle so much on the coast. Yeah. Just so aggressive, over aggressive. Like if he was a human, he'd probably gone to prison. He was just so aggressive.
And most people's thought would be like, oh, aggressive bull. This should be easy to call. Like, I'll give him a call. He'll want to come fight. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and like from what you learned there, that's
So I'm like
being quiet and just waiting.
Again, something I learned from guys like Trail and Brady and Lampers and you first, before you use the blunt force of your skill sets or your equipment, you first got to use your, the scene in Braveheart where he's like, he's got the sword and the kid's going, ooh, and he's like, first you learn to use your brain and then I'll teach you how to use this. Hunting's no different. Like you have to get out of the excitement and the emotion and go, okay, this bull's bugling every 5 minutes. I've been up here 4 or 5 times and he does the same thing every time. I don't need to barge down there and start calling at him. What I need to do is just use all those things against him. It could have been a case where the opposite. Maybe the best strategy would have been to call him, but in this case it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And then you need to just switch your strategy, and that takes experience and thought process and confidence that you can actually employ a strategy like that. Like I'm actually really good at. I'm probably better at still hunting than I am calling, and I'm pretty good at calling too. But like if there's a bull bugling and like distracted, I can kill that bull.
Yeah.
Like you can do it. If you get the wind right, it's not rocket science, it just takes some spirit. Yeah. So anyways, that's what ended up happening with him, and yeah, he's my dream, man.
One thing I really liked about your whole story is like what I think everyone could take note of is you set a goal. You started creating like a checklist of how you wanted to accomplish this goal. You did a bunch of research, you did all your homework, and then you even visualized success, like with your dad. Mm-hmm. Like you're visualizing you being in that moment at the right spot at the right time. It also seems like too, like, I mean, Neville probably knows more than me because I don't whitetail hunt that much, but it almost sounds like you're hunting him kind of like whitetail hunters do. Mm-hmm. You got the intel, the data. You're only going in there when you know it's exactly perfect. You figure out what he liked, what he didn't like. And like I said, you only hunted him really for 5 days because you were just very cautious of how you're going to go in there and not blow him out.
Yeah, and to that point, the night before I killed him, so the morning before I killed him, the morning prior, I had seen him go into this area that I know I could go in, but the wind, like a little cloud event came in, and we got some swirly winds and stuff. And I remember that I came home, I left. I'm like, don't be tempted to go down there. Don't go down there. I came, and that whole day I was itching. I remember I'd call my dad. Should I go back? Because I know where he's coming out this evening. Should I go back up there? He's like, dude, don't go up there. It's supposed to clear up in the morning.
Just wait.
Just wait. And I made it through that day without going back up there, and I went the next morning. That's when I killed him. If I'd have gone back up there, I don't think I would have killed him at least those 2 days, because I would have probably screwed it up.
Yeah.
So yes, it was a little bit like that. And again, I have learned stuff from my whitetail hunting friends. What you'll find with whitetail guys and mule deer guys is their patience is exceptional. Exceptional. Elk hunters are not patient. They walk to a basin, nothing, and they just keep doing that until it works, right?
Yep.
Well, it's getting harder and harder to do that. There's a lot of guys that can do that.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to have a mixed bag of, like, I hate it. If I need to sit on a fucking wallow, I'll sit on a wallow.
Oh, I love sitting on wallows.
Wallow
Really?
sitters.
Oh, it's my absolute
I am the
favorite.
worst sitter. Like, I last 5 minutes. But I can make myself do it. I've done it once before. Actually, the biggest bull that I would have ever killed in my life, I almost killed on a wallow. I didn't get him, but anyways, so yeah, that's how it went down, man. It was a dream come true. And now, but you know what's funny? When I was holding that bull, and actually I even think I said it here today, I would have told you that I'd probably never get to do this again because they just don't exist.
Right.
But then, with all the stuff I learned, a week later, I found another one that was 300, and me and my buddy got 15 yards from it, and his bow, he had a bow malfunction, but I know where that bull is. I learned his habits. And so if I have a Roosevelt tag next year, I'm going to kill that bull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right back.
I know.
You already got a
Same
plan.
spot.
Like, I already have a plan. So I actually, even though initially I thought maybe this was like an event, I'm just going to get back to shooting 5 and 6 points again. I actually don't think I need to do that. I will do that if I need the meat or whatever, but I actually think it was a great confidence booster, and I learned a lot about the goal setting. Like I said, it's all about the mindset.
Yep.
If you have the area and the skills and the things, all those 4, 5, 6 different dimensions, you can repeat this, but you have to be willing to eat your tag.
Yeah, it's all that hard work up front, and then now you're gonna have easier. Like now you know what you have it figured out. You know where these elk are.
Yeah.
There's multiple elk.
And I know I can do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, once you
Prove
struggle
yourself.
through something, you know you can do it. You know.
Yep. You have a blueprint now to repeat that the next year.
Yeah. And I don't know, mind over matter, man. You know?
Amen to that. Amen to that.
And it's also interesting too. You said like some whitetail. We were talking about whitetail, mule deer stuff. I think a lot of people don't realize there is a lot of crossover in guys who maybe just specialize in hunting whitetails or specialize in elk or mule deer. Like those tactics that you have, like you can extrapolate those to other species as well. Like if you're really, like Neville said, he loves sitting wallows, probably because he's a whitetail hunter.
Yeah.
And he's used to sitting there because he knows if he sits there long enough and has the right conditions, like that's going to pay off towards success. But because of his experience doing something else. So he's taken that kind of tactics and rolling it in an elk hunt, and it's worked out well for them. They've killed a lot of bulls off wallows.
It's one of the, it's like we're talking, you know, setting realistic expectations and evaluating yourself, right? What am I good at? What are my hunting skills that I'm good at that then will help you put yourself in a better position? Because I feel like a lot of people come out from out east, you know, they see Born and Raised, they see all these guys, like they think like that's how I should elk hunt. I mean, if you can't call, I probably wouldn't recommend calling.
No.
Yeah.
If you can't hike, I wouldn't recommend hiking too far.
Yeah.
Like if you can find a wallow and you
Yeah.
sit white and you sit in a stand.
Just be patient.
I will say that out of all the different elk hunting strategies, that might be the most effective way to kill an elk.
It's 100% the most effective.
Even though I think it's extremely boring. I have a friend in my hometown. He's been doing that for like 30 years or something like this. And he sits the entire season. And in Oregon, his Oregon hunt, he's been sitting the same wallow for like 15 years. But he's killed so many 6 points, mountain lions, mule deer, you know.
Right, yeah.
But this year he sat there for 20 days and did not have one bull come in. I would have hung myself out of that tree stand like day one. I'd been so bored.
A rough one.
He got out. He 2 days he didn't go in, and both those days 6 points came in.
Yep. It's like knowing when not to do that. Like, and the day you leave is the day they come in.
Yeah,
So,
but I think Brady and I are wired the same. Where like, even mule deer hunting or rifle elk hunting, I have to go to a different glassing point almost every day. Otherwise, it's not that I'm bored, but you lose a little bit of an edge because when you're looking at new country, you look harder.
you do.
When you're looking at the same country every day, you get really lazy because you're like, I've already glassed that 7 times.
Yeah.
The buck that we killed in Colorado this year, that happened. It was the most obvious hill directly in front of us. And I had probably looked at it with my 15 powers on tripod. I looked at it all morning. I probably looked at it a dozen times. It wasn't like super technical glassing. It was a snowy hillside with like browse all over it. I overlooked that buck all 12 times because about the 13th time I looked at it, he was standing in the middle of it, eating. And I'm like, has that buck been there? It was when the sun hit it.
Right.
Has that buck been there all morning? And but I was getting lazy. I'm like, I've looked at that so many times. But I told you guys earlier, I was like falling asleep in my binos. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's a buck in the middle of the hillside, you know?
He's right there.
I've overlooked him so many times. But that's why I like going to the next ridge. It keeps me interested and it keeps me a little sharper.
It's the same reason kind of why I like hunting new units all the time, because I always say you can't kill dead bucks. I know if I can go to the same unit, if I go to that same glassing spot where I know I've seen a deer before, I know I've killed a deer there, eventually I'm going to be like, why isn't there a deer here, and get bored or get lazy because I know maybe I could just wait till evening to glass it. But like a new country, every single day I glass harder, like you said. I work towards something, and like I know eventually I'm going to find something where if I keep going back to the same spots, I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to be deer here eventually. To sit back and relax. And
you almost get like
justice.
I don't know what the right word is, like complacent.
Yep.
You get
Totally.
Complacent. That hillside. You guys said it, like that 200-inch buck that Brady killed in Colorado. You'd been looking at that hill every day.
Yeah.
Yep. And if I go back to that unit, I know like, well, Neville and I hunted over here. We never saw an animal, so I'm going to avoid it.
Right.
That could be the worst idea in the world because it's a totally different year.
Yeah, it's
There
totally
could be totally different things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's what's a hard like mental game you play with yourself.
It is, and it's a total mental game. But if you have the patience and the discipline that you have, Brady, to do that, that's special, man. But it's something that we all should at least try to have, because to your point, Brady, I work a lot in the startup world, the business world. Like I'm owner in multiple companies now, and it's no different. Like most days in startup business world suck. You're struggling. You're just trying to survive, just like you're in the backcountry. You're just surviving. Cash problems, whatever, product issues. You're searching for that 1 or 2 days where it's really going right and it really gets on the right path and it sets it over the top to where you can actually create a mature business, right? That's like what we're talking about. But you have to have the discipline to go through all those daily sucky struggles, to keep sitting there, keep going to different classes, trying new things, trying different strategies, putting away your calls, pulling them back out, whatever it might be, for that half a second that puts you over the edge to make it a successful season or a successful business or whatever, right? Those are skills that I really think as hunters we overlook the fact that we have skills that most of modern society has lost.
Oh, 100%.
They used to have them.
Yeah.
We have skills to endure pain and struggle. And let's be honest, guys, like if you added up the minutes that we hunt, it's a total failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like on paper.
Yeah, on paper
right?
it definitely is.
Yeah.
99% of those minutes are failures, maybe even more than that.
Percentage, yeah.
Right?
For sure.
But we enjoyed all of them.
Yep.
And we actually found ways to enjoy that struggle. And if you take that same mindset over to your life, it's pretty amazing. Like it's almost like a Hakuna Matata, Lion King. Like, it's like I can get through anything. Like if the world fell apart right now, Brady Miller is going to be fine because he can find water, he can find fire, he can find shelter, he can find food. Actually, he'd probably like it because then he wouldn't have to worry about tags anymore. He just go live in the mountains.
Just live in the mountains.
He's
solo.
like the Jeremiah Johnson, right?
No people. I love that.
That's why hunting got so popular during COVID.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, shit, I need to learn how to survive.
Yeah, and there's always something new we can all learn. I had a Hank Shaw on my podcast the other day, and I feel like such a blibbering idiot on recipes and just anatomy lessons and different things you can do at different parts of.
Yeah, a lot of times I come back, I'm like, I don't know if I do this wild game justice because I do burgers, almost everything.
Exactly.
Like but grind meat, to me, I can do so many different things with it, but I'm like, I could have saved this and made that or do this thing, and I'm like, I see these guys, I'm like, dude, they're
if you're like
wizards.
Me, you're like pepperoni sticks, burgers, and backstraps.
Yep.
And there you go. You got it all.
I highly recommend Hank Shaw's cookbook. I actually got that for last Christmas for my girlfriend, and I've been making all sorts of shit from that thing, and it is awesome. I love it. Yeah, just like every week, just try like a new recipe.
I was blown away, and my wife is I told Hank, like, my wife will thank you because she gets tired. I make burgers.
Right.
I make like vegetables and steaks. Like I have like 3 or 4 things, and she's like, "I love you, honey, but could you try something
different.
Yeah,
try something.
could you have some different recipes? Try something. And I'm like, okay. So like after that call, actually one of the coolest things I'm going to do when I get home, I asked, because I've always wondered about this. I want to eat elk tartare.
Yeah.
Or like axis deer tartare or
Yeah.
ceviche or something
Yeah.
like that. And I'm like, hey, can I do this? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Here's what you do. You freeze it and you cut it up when it's kind of frozen, so it's a little bit more solid. And like, so when I get home, I'm gonna make some elk tartare with corn, like Mexican chips.
I
and
bet
stuff.
you that's gonna be so delicious.
I think so. I was always. This is how stupid I am because we all fall in this. Like we're dudes, right?
Yeah.
We like pull the quarters out. And
Yeah.
Maybe we bring the heart or something. Or if you're like lampers, you like suck on the liver and stuff like that. But most of the time
testicles.
it's like hamburger, pepperoni stick. But there's so much more we can do. Point being, no matter how long you've been doing this, if you're not trying to expand your knowledge and be open-minded and go sit and listen to these people. I don't care how good of a hunter you are, where you are in your area, like you're the local hero. A lot of times I see these guys that are like local hero, and I don't need to go to that damn seminar. Those guys don't know shit, you know. Yeah. It's like, well, you might want to, because I'm 41. I've been hunting my entire life out west, and I go to the Western Hunting Summit and I listen to these seminars from these people, and every time I walk out and go, I'm a fucking idiot. Like I have so much to learn still, and we all do.
Yeah, 100%. You
And
can always learn more.
Oh my God, dude! There's so much to know. You can't learn all of it. You can't.
You have to be a sponge and literally soak up every little bit of information you can when it's presented to you. And you have to be, like you said, you have to be willing to do it. Because you're willing to do it, you're going to benefit from it.
Don't you think hunters, like, there's just so many, I don't know if it's insecurity or what, but
Back to the
there's
ego,
so many egos out there, dude.
Fucking egos.
Oh my God, I posted a video of, so my buddy, Tim Lesser, killed a 392 bull in Utah. And I posted a video of my 330 Roosevelt next to his 392. And the video is a little bit deceptive. Mine looks like a 250-inch bull.
Yeah.
And, his looks like a 350. But I'm telling you, they're both officially scored now. It's 392 gross, 332 gross. Anyways, I posted this video. And, dude, there's so many guys that commented on it. Like, there's no way. My bull was way bigger than that. And it was only this and that. Anyways, as I was going through this thread of bullshit, I'm thinking to myself, why are hunters so fucking insecure?
Yeah.
What
really
spurs? And those are the same guys that don't want to learn anything new. They're going to continue to do the same shit and never really actually get better because they think they're already the shit.
Yeah.
And actually, based on what I saw, some of these guys don't actually know much.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for them. Like a couple of I'm like, hey, dude, I don't know what's going on in your life, man, but you're wrong. You know, sorry that you're so insecure.
I think it happens a lot too with like even weapons. When people shoot their weapon, they're like, "Yeah, I've been doing it my whole life. I know how to shoot a rifle. I know how to lay down prone." But like, I did a long range shooting course back in there with my dad out in Oregon, and I was blown away. Like literally, even how I think I'm straight behind the rifle, they walk by, they just kick me in the ass. Like, nope, you're not sitting square behind the rifle. We're gonna keep kicking you until you ingrain in your head. Like, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Like, just putting yourself there. Yeah, it costs some money to go do some of these things, but like, learned so much in 3 days. That then expanded onto everything I've done.
Did you think before you went and did that you were solid? You don't.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I thought I was golden. I'll show up. I'm just gonna crunch all these steel
guys.
targets. What am I gonna really learn?
Yeah.
Like I've been doing it my whole life. Like I know how to shoot a rifle. But Dad's kind of taught me how to shoot a rifle. But like maybe he taught me some bad habits.
Yeah.
Maybe he does things I thought was perfect, and like just expanding that knowledge and willing to be there and soak it up and take notes and just.
If your goal is to get better, then why the hell wouldn't you do that? Like I try to spend time with people from all segments of all skill sets, from Joel Turner to.
I love listening to Joel. Like, he is such a wizard.
I'm just sitting there going, you guys are idiots. Because my shooting game, since I met Joel, like, I can't even describe, he changed my life. I had target panic so bad when I met Joel that I almost quit bow hunting. I had a really bad hunt in Colorado where I wounded a buck. I ended up killing it, but it was embarrassing. I think I missed 12 times before I killed a buck in Colorado on that hunt.
God, how'd you have enough arrows?
I had to borrow arrows.
He's that guy with the big quiver on his shoulder.
I was 12 arrows.
I had to borrow arrows. We were hunting the Trinchera Ranch in southwest Colorado, which is it was a coal hunt. So there's tons of opportunity. And anyways, I hit rock bottom. And long story short, I'm like, you know what? I'm being stubborn. I'm not doing myself any good. It's embarrassing. It sucks. and I love hunting too much. John Barklow said to me, he was with me on this trip. He goes, "You're way too good of a hunter to be doing this. Like, you need to get this fixed." And I'm like, "You're right. I do." So since then, now you can put a big as animal. You can march. Well, you marched that Roosevelt by me, and I drilled him.
Yeah.
And I felt good. I remember the entire shot. I executed a good shot. Yep. But that's all because I was like, expand my mind and be like, yes, I've been shooting a bow my whole life, but it's not working very well right now. So I have a choice to make. I can continue to keep doing the same bullshit for the same results, or I can be like, "Joel, help me."
Yep.
I've been doing, yes, I know how to shoot a bow, but there's something not right in here. But I'm with you on rifle. Cooking.
Brady, you need to do that for archery. He quit archery hunting.
Do you have the panic?
Because of my target panic.
Yeah.
And because I lost like a 207-inch deer I hit, never recovered it in Colorado one year, and it ate me up.
Yeah.
Literally
You hunted an
destroyed me.
antelope with us this year?
Yep, that was like one of my first like getting back into it type of thing. So I want to try to do it more. But
You should spend time with Joel.
I know. I've listened now because I've given seminars at the Western Hunting Summit like quite a few years now, and I've heard Joel talk multiple times. And every time I'm literally that person in the back of the room just filling out my paper with everything he says. Because he's such a wealth of knowledge.
Well, and you can take it to rifles too.
Yeah, and even though I've heard him say the same thing now, like, yeah, he modifies the seminar probably a little bit, but I've heard it multiple times.
Yeah.
I'm still retaining it differently to the point where it's now clicking. And then recently I saw he came out with that rifle course. And I paid full price for it. I didn't want to like say, hey, we're buddies, like, I get a discount. Like, I knew me paying, I think it was like $200, me paying that money and me dissecting that course and watching it, not just once, but I have to watch it multiple times, is going to still make me better. Even though I've learned from him, I've learned from his long-range shooting school. Again, I just want more knowledge.
Yeah.
I want to soak up everything I can to make me proficient because, yes, I could be the best glasser, hiker, like adventure person, but again, I want more of those tools in my toolkit to all be just prime, and I want my mental state to be prime. Like, that's what, the target panic thing is kind of probably why I stopped doing bow hunting too, because I was really broken down.
Yeah, dude.
And now I'm building myself back up because I'm starting to
awful.
learn more, and I'm trying to. I know I need to fix it, but it's also taking the time to realize.
Are you an anxious person in general life? Do you have anxiety?
No, I'm really calm.
Are you?
Yeah, he's very.
But I'm also very.
But I'm calm too, but I have anxiety.
But I'm
Yeah.
I'm a perfectionist though.
Okay.
Like when I draw my bow back, I want that pin to sit there. And if it moves a little bit, because I want to hit it.
You let me know how to do that when you figure it out.
I know, right?
Yeah, me too.
So like, I know I need to work at it, and it's understanding that, I failed at something, and I need to build it back up.
Yeah.
And that's why right now I'm trying to soak in all these tools, pay for these different resources to just make myself better. And again, it's probably gonna make myself better in other areas of life too, like being more calm, being more dedicated, and just understanding that there's even ways that I learn every single day. Like even having podcasts like this, I learned so much.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I love them.
You just got to ask questions. People are scared to ask questions, I feel like.
They're scared to admit. I was at lunch with somebody the other day, and I've become, especially over the last 10 years, I'm really not scared of much of anything, actually. I kind of have this attitude of life. Like, I think it's when I met, going back a few years, I met Joe Rogan. I got to hang out with him. When I was at Sitka Gear, he wore our stuff. I got to hang out with him a few times, and then I really started diving into his podcast and really trying to figure out his mindset, because he seems like nothing phases the guy, right? He speaks to, I think, 3 million people every time he podcasts, right? It's a lot. Think about a stadium of 3 million people.
That's insane.
And just openly bullshitting and saying whatever you want. That's scary, right? But anyways, my point is the thing I learned as to why he is what he is because he is curious. He's unapologetically curious about everything, and his ego's like this big. He has an ego. We all do. But he legitimately and authentically is fascinated with life and curious. And when you look at life that way and be like, I don't really know shit. Like, we really don't know shit, right? It's actually exciting, and it kind of kills your ego to where you're actually not scared. Like, I'm not scared. My point. So I had lunch with somebody the other day, and they go, hey, can I ask you a personal question? And they're kind of quiet. I'm like, what is it?
What do you got for me?
And they're like, so this anxiety stuff you've talked about, like, what do you do about that? I'm like, are you having anxiety? Yes. And, kind of looking around, I'm like, look, let me square something up. I don't give a fuck. I will talk about anything. Ask me any questions. I am an open book about. She's like, how do you do that? How do you are you so like, and it's something I've had to learn because I used to be pretty shy. When you realize that we're all like kind of struggling through and none of us know shit. And even though the people that pretend to be the best at whatever they do and they know everything, they're full of shit. They don't know anything either. Right. It kind of like eases your mind. I will literally talk about anything. I will talk about anything, and I'm comfortable. If you have that mindset, you will become better at whatever you do. I just started doing jiu-jitsu. If you really want to know, have your ego get squished.
Oh, I bet.
Get your ass beat.
Get choked out like 5 times in a night. Seriously.
Go get beat up.
Like, get yelled at by the professor.
Let's
like,
go, Neville.
Oh, fuck.
Doing stuff that you suck at. When I went and did that, I started a few weeks ago. I came home. I'm like, this is the first time in a long time I've done something that I suck at.
It's humbling.
But that's why I'm doing it. Like, it's like, holy shit, I am like a baby. Like, I don't know. I know a few things really well, but I don't know shit.
Right.
So, and now when I come back to the things I know really well, like hunting, I come with that perspective. It's like, wow, what else could I learn? Like, how else could I improve? What in my gear, like my backpack improved so much this year because of this mindset. It's like, okay, I got a couple fucked up things in here. Like, this is not working. Like, my whole fire program I wasn't happy with, my water purification program. Like, there's just a few things. And I came out of the backcountry this year. I'm like, oh, yeah, now we're talking. Like, there was really a step improvement, right? But I wouldn't have had that. No, I wear the same damn shit since 1978, and these goddamn people are ruining hunting with all this blah, 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 blah. It's a mindset. And then you're a lot happier because you're a better hunter.
Yep. 100%.
You know?
100%.
Yeah. Where's our next adventure, dudes?
I'm going to shoot a big Roosevelt with you.
Oh, God. We got to find one.
Starts now.
I'm stressed out about finding one. I legitimately know where there's one big Roosevelt, and that's all I know about.
Yeah, we got to get something in the books. The antelope one was a blast.
That really was fun.
Because like I've known you for a long time. That was the first time we could just like hang out. Yeah, we were separated most of the time, but like it was so fun.
Yeah, but we had fun at night, rattlesnakes and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how just like going on one hunt, like how much you get to know a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know somebody a lot better just on one.
Mostly what
hunt.
you guys learned about me is I snore.
Oh my gosh, does he ever?
Do you ever? I forgot about that.
And I go to bed earlier than you guys.
You had the weirdest snore I've ever heard in my life.
Sounds like 2 people. Snores on the inhale and the exhale.
Really?
You were doing like a double person snore, and then Trail's over there just grizzly bearing it.
And Devil and I are stuck literally in between both.
Dude, I never snore, ever. Like,
really?
I'm the most quiet sleeper.
I didn't hear a thing.
Move,
I had my soundproof earbuds in. I couldn't hear myself.
Dude, and the thing about Trail too is like he falls asleep in like a second. Like he lays down, it's just snoring. You're like, what? It's like we were just talking. We were just talking 30 seconds ago, and he's snoring.
That's funny. Well, I think we should switch it up every year or something. Let's do something different.
Yeah, some of our elements maybe.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. That we all just kind of knew and learned something together.
I'm all about that. Let's do that.
Let's do it. Let's go get some lunch and let's game plan. I'm
it.
starving.
I am too.
I'm absolutely starving.
That was a blast, buddy.
No, yeah, I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
This is gonna go on your show as well too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Altitude show, this will be on there as well.
Yeah. So where can people find more about Big Hunt Guys podcast?
We're on YouTube. We got.
Do you guys put full episodes out on YouTube?
Yeah. So if you want to watch the video version, it's on YouTube, and then it's on all of your places you listen to podcasts. You can listen to it.
Okay.
Same
with mine. Yeah. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Most recently, starting in a couple weeks, also all the content will be on Carbon TV.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, appreciate you guys. Let's get something to eat.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We got a lot of food places in Vegas, so I'm not good at suggestions, so we're going to lean on Neville because I got the same place.
I lean on Cody Bohr.
Oh, yeah, it's got Cody Bohr.
He's the food guy.
Okay, let's do it.